Just how? I'm not even sure how my own morals developed, evolved, let alone find the teachable bits.
Yeah, which goes back to what you were saying. You're still working on yours. I'm still working on mine. I get up every day and try and be better than I was the day before in terms of this. This is the high order stuff. We know we're going to talk about some of the influences that happen, but this starts from a very early age. And what we want it to be is intrinsic. We want it to be like, this is matters to me. Does that make sense?
Okay. This matters to me should be your guiding principle.
Yeah, so remember we talked about last time, very early stage is just like the first bit that Kohlberg talked about was there's a negative consequence if I do the wrong thing, and that's why I don't do it. And then the next bit is like because I get praised for doing it. We want to move beyond that, but even as adults, it's really beautiful. The mum who was like, this is the first person who's come up to him. We thought it'd be in the dozens by now. You know who that is, one of our very close friends. She said this beautiful thing about her son, her oldest, who you know, and he was a bit older than all the kids that were on the holiday. And she said, I was like, and you've probably felt like this with him as well, he's been a really good, warm, likeable kid since very early on, hasn't he? He's just like that. He's got this aura about him. And I was like, you must be so happy about how good a person he is. And she's like, yeah, the good thing is he's good for the sake of it. It's not because of what comes back to him. And I was like, that's amazing because it's beautiful that that's how she frames it. He had this funny thing with his dad, who you and I are both very close with, where we're at this like really shady water park, like probably borderline unsafe, but I was so keen to go. And anyway, at the end of the day, we were all getting ready and drying the kids off and stuff. And Evie was the only girl, and there was 3 boys that were all a little bit older than her. And they were all standing on this bridge. And I was listening to what was happening, but our mate wasn't. And the oldest boy stood in front of the 2 boys and kind of physically pushed them back. And he went over and was like, mate, what are you doing? And like chastised him. And I was like, mate, like just so you know, the other 2 boys were saying no girls are allowed on the bridge. And he stepped over and said, no, she's allowed. And it was this beautiful like demonstration of what all of us are aiming for. That's a really altruistic activity by him because he's putting his own needs aside to fit in with these 2 older boys and to comply with the group and sticking up with someone who's on the outside. And it was just beautiful. It was amazing. And it's because of how purposefully he's got a very easy temperament to guide that way because he's a sensitive, emotional kid, like one of the feedback we got. But it was just this like really great demonstration. But it's funny, like he almost got chastised for it. And it was just because it didn't get heard. Yeah. You know what I mean? We just saw the behaviour. And the final bit about this, because otherwise this episode is going to go for ages, intention is what matters, not the outcome. So when we're guiding our own morals, remember how important intention is. We want to think about it. A lot of what's really hard is having moral judgments, like what's the right thing to do, but it's a different step to do it. Does that make sense? Yeah. And we talked about this last time in terms of Piaget and saying that a lot of the time people will look at the outcome when they're young. So someone's playing with a puppy and accidentally hurts it and the puppy goes off. Young kids will look at that person as worse than a person who intends to hurt the puppy but doesn't.
Yep, gotcha.
Because they go, first person hurt the puppy, second person didn't. At a higher level, we shouldn't look at what happens. We should think about what was the person trying to achieve, what were they thinking. Yep. The first person was trying to play with the puppy, the second person was trying to hurt the puppy. That's it's easy for you and I, black and white, to see that, but it's important that we think about
I like that intention bit.
Yeah, the intention is what matters. That's what we want to try and give to kids, and there's a beautiful, we'll end on some advice directly to you about this.
Great.
This podcast is brought to you by Guiding Growing Minds, a social enterprise that aims to give all children the best opportunity to reach their potential and succeed in living rich and meaningful lives.